Hello there. This is Carol Tudor, Nurse Carol, or Mrs. T. Some people call me Mama T. I'm just opening up right now and a little bit early to see, to chat. I want to see if I want you to tell me if I'm, how I look, too far away. I think I'm okay. Light, hearing, can you hear me? I set it up a little different today, and I want hi Stephanie Bassett, hi Penny, I remember you living on my dorm floor. That was eons ago. It's so nice to see you. Hey from Ohio, yeah, I love when you hear, when you tell me where you're from. That is awesome. Shannon, hello there. Yeah, I want to hear where you're from. Can you hear me and can you see me fine? And I want to make sure I've got all the lights on in the living room. I got the air conditioner off because somebody said it was too noisy. And so I'm just sort of went on a little minute or two early just to see how things are and talk, see who comes on there. Hey, Monica, thank you from Plymouth, Michigan. Good friend of my husband's. Good, looking good. That's good. I love that. Teresa Ross, how you doing, lady? I'm really looking forward to this night. I have done a lot of prep for it, and I'm pretty excited. And we'll get ready. My stage manager tonight is my husband. Honey, what time is it? 59. Okay, 6:59. Hey, Terry Pfeiffer, old buddy, old coworker. How you doing? And let's see, I just keep, looks good, sounds good, thank you. Oh, she said I'm beautiful, you're sweet. Not, at 70, that's an amazing thing. Hey, Mrs. Treber, she's the one that got me into this whole deal. Hi, Peggy Sue. Okay, well, I'm going to, let me say hi, and then hi, Nancy Walker, good deal. I hope your husband is not listening, because this is for women, really, it's for women only tonight. Maybe they should watch it later, after I don't know that they're there listening. Probably be smart for them to understand their wives a little bit better. But I saw Gerald's name up there, and I'm like, no, I don't want any men to listen tonight. I'm really on the side of the men. Our men need us to be delightful, not all hormonal, and we need to be loving, and we need to be set for them, and so. Part of that hormone imbalance thing is I'm going to address that. Okay, I'm going to have a prayer and I'm going to get started. Father, I pray you'd lead and guide on this time tonight. I ask, Lord, for your mind. I pray that you would give me clear thinking. I pray you'd keep me focused, Holy Spirit. Keep my distractions at a minimum. I ask, Lord, that you would change lives. I was overwhelmed, Lord, with how many people watched the video, and I love it that I can still influence lives in this way. I ask, Lord, that you'd help us to take care of our temples and help us to realize what a beautiful machine we have. I thank you for it, Lord. I thank you for my education. And bless us tonight in Jesus' name, amen. I wanted to say, one of the things I wanted to say was that, thank you. Some of you have given me a love offering. And that really is a blessing because I do have to put quite a bit of time into this. Beyond my 50 years of nursing, I had a great education. I want to thank God for that. I got to give God the glory for what He's done for me. Hi, Tina and Tina Reese. And I went to a diploma nursing school, quite different than the nursing schools of today. We lived right next door to the hospital. I was 6 days a week. 12 hours a day, I did nothing but medicine. And I got one of the best educations, and I've never gotten over it. I then went on to Hyles-Anderson and became a teacher slash counselor slash nurse, and that's what I did for all these years. Worked in, hi Robin Bachman, I worked there during the summers, and I worked for Dr. Cal Streeter. I was a hospice nurse. I've done a lot of nursing, and I do a lot of reading. I'm pretty sure I read 10,000 pages a month. I told it up the other day, and it's just, I'm constantly learning. I used to be what they call the queen of the library. I'd go out with 50 or 60 books. What's nice now is I can just go online and start researching. And so I stay up on the latest information, and I did talk to one of the Streeters this week. I have several friends. I have a pharmacist friend up in Indiana. Talk to him. I keep in touch with medical people, and I'm always looking for new people to learn from. I'm blessed because not only that, I learned a lot from Dr. Cal Streeter. Excellent teacher. He's 81 years old now. I wish you'd pray for him. He's in the hospital. I believe Brother Wilkerson announced that he had the COVID virus, and I don't know. I only know that from whether it came from the pulpit at First Baptist. But pray for him. He's 81, and so. But that man taught me a lot, and he's the one that got me really starting to help people with their thyroids and their thyroid problems. I have to tell you, I was overwhelmed with the response from last week's video. If you push from the video, you'll see that 1,600 people watched that video. I was absolutely blown away. I know I'm not that great of a teacher, but I think it's because there's such a need. There's such horrendous hormonal problems, and there's such a need out there for it. And most of your doctors and nurses, they're just, bless their hearts, they're way too busy to take time to teach you. My favorite thing was home health nursing, because I could go into a home, and even though I didn't make for all the time I spent, I would spend extra time teaching my patients, and I love that. I love explaining things. I love people to understand and realize what a great temple they have. You've got a machine here that's beautiful. I saw something by a teacher this week where it talked about a woman's body is a chalice. You know, women with God and their husbands create a life. I mean, we create life. And so we wonder why we would have such a system. And I'm trying to get rid of some things on here that I don't need. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, I'm trying to get rid of that. Trying to get rid of it. I'm getting rid of things. I'm trying to. There we go. And so, think of an orchestra. Your reproductive system is like an orchestra. All the instruments are not playing at the same time. Sometimes the woodwinds are not there. Sometimes the brass is not there. Sometimes the violins are not there. Well, your woman's body is like that. We have constant ebbing and flowing of hormones. Did you know women, men say that we're always changing or we're hormonal. Well, did you know you're never the same 2 days in a row? In the 30 days of the month, you are changing every day. And I can't even list all the hormones you have, but the basic ones are TSH, FSH, progesterone, estrogen, and estradiol. You actually have, I think, another estrogen in there. And I will explain a little bit what the cycle is, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to give you some solutions tonight again, because a lot of people, you can imagine with over 1,000 people watching, I had about 200 texts or questions. And several of them I was able to help. I was able to help just in 10 minutes. But if I take 10 minutes for 200 messages, that's 200 minutes. That's 4.5 hours. That's why I've just asked for a simple love offering, and I just take whatever people send to me, whatever the Holy Spirit tells them to send me. I take that, and if they want to call me and have it and talk, I do it. I couldn't get back to people fast enough. In fact, if you're on my messenger and I didn't get back to you, it's possible I just could not answer things fast enough. And sometimes, because again, I have to, when you ask me a question, I have to ask you a question because I need some information from you. And so the key to being a good diagnostician is getting a thorough history and physical. And remember my story in the video 1 of the girl with the purple toes. If I had just taken her and got her some cream for her toes, we would have never found out the real problem. And I feel very much blessed that I helped her be able to have 3 children alive and well. And so because she, and if you didn't hear the story, you need to go back. I'm not going to tell it again. It's on the first hormone video. So our system is constantly changing. But I read a great book by Brother Dobson, James Dobson, about his mother, because his mother went through a real mental change when she went into the change of life, and he didn't understand. And he likens the 4 weeks to the 4 seasons. And I think one of the biggest problems today is we don't understand the temple that God gave us women. And it is we're co-creators. Psalm 139 says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And so all of these hormones, just like picturing an orchestra, they're not all playing at the same time. They ebb and flow every day. I think it's amazing if we women can be steadfast at all. Our bodies are not like men's, okay? Yes, they have hormones, and yes, they do ebb and flow, especially as they age, but not every day. We are getting ready as long as we're cycling, we are getting ready to have a child every month. You realize what that means? And so that's why this system, when you start medicating it, and we have birth control pills, we have birth control shots, we have IUDs that have hormones in them that we put into our bodies. So by the time we do all this to our bodies and add to it some of the other causes I'm going to get to in a little bit, that causes these imbalances, which then lead to all kinds of problems. And I don't want you to beat yourself up. I say this so much, whatever you did that you shouldn't have done, or you didn't take care of yourself. Ladies called me and they said, I should have talked to you 20 years ago, No, do not beat yourself up. It's under the blood. I always say everything's under the blood. You just say, Lord, I didn't take care of my temple, forgive me, but let me take care of it from this minute on. I blew my body out by the age of 45. I had Epstein-Barr mono, cytomegalovirus. I was sick as a dog. And so at 45, I had an epiphany and really radically changed. And I believe that's why I'm here today. Everyone in my family is gone. I have a few cousins that are left alive. But I think I'm here because I went to a whole foods diet, barley green, did a lot of juicing, got off of processed food and soda pop, etc. So I have 25 years to the good, and I'm hoping that's going to keep me up on my feet and well and influencing people. And now I'm finding that I found out that I had stage 3 Lyme disease, and I'm treating that. And so that's why I write this out so I won't get lost in my notes. So your system is changing every day. So let's say that day 1 is the day the period begins. That's spring, okay? Actually, that's winter. That's a blizzard. Day 1 is when the cycle starts. And that is when you don't feel as good. You might not feel as good. After day 1, from day 1 to day 7, that's winter, okay? Then day 7 to 14 is the spring, because the uterus is ready again to receive nutrients. In fact, the lining that comes in the lining of the uterus starts building up, and that is caused by estrogen in the early part of the cycle. You don't have progesterone as much until the second part of the cycle. So estrogen and other things are getting ready, and that one side of the uterus is getting plumped up because getting ready in case that an egg is fertilized. Okay, now this is one of the important things I want you to listen to, especially those of you that have been diagnosed with polycystic ovaries and you have cysts and you've got fibrocystic disease, etc. A lot of you women called me and told me that. The FSH is called follicle stimulating hormone. A follicle, think of it as a cyst, okay? So your ovaries are cystular, and every month around day 10, 12, a little cyst forms on the ovary. Out of that little cyst is going to come an egg, an ovum, I'm going to call it egg. That egg, okay, well then the fallopian tubes will grab it. They've got like little fingers, believe it or not, and they have hairs inside the tubes. And that's why when you get infection and you get scarred tubes, infertility can occur. So those hairs grab that little egg and they grab it and they swish it down into the uterus. And then between days 12 and 14, which is the summer, that's when you have the most estrogen, you feel so good. And if the egg is fertilized, then that will plant into the side of the uterus where that thickening has occurred. That happens, okay, but with no fertilization, that egg is going to slough out of your body. That brings the fall. And the fall is when your estrogen actually goes down and progesterone should go up. Okay, so progesterone should go up, and it doesn't, because we have a problem in America with estrogen dominance. We have it worse here than other countries. Places like Japan, they don't have as much issue with that we do, just because of their eating habits. So estrogen dominance occurs, and when that happens, then the PMS is bad, the lining of the uterus does not slough out like it should. It stays in there. And you can have cysts form. I believe polycystic disease is probably a severe form of hypothyroidism because back to the FSH, remember I said your ovaries are cystic. Little bump forms on that little ovary. In that, out comes the egg. Okay, but without thyroid, there's no ovulation. And ovulation is when the egg comes out of that cyst. So if you don't have iodine, which we don't, and I'm going to explain that in a minute, we don't have a good thyroid function, then ovulation cannot occur. Okay, several things here. Without ovulation, the person cannot conceive. And so then, without ovulation, often the ovary just keeps forming cysts all around it. And the doctors will want to operate, and it's really caused by a thyroid problem because there's not enough iodine to help the thyroid function to tell the little egg to come out of the cyst. And so many people get ovarian cysts, not realizing it's probably it could be due to a sluggish, I want to say 80 to 90% chance that 80 to 90% percentage that it's ovarian cysts due to low thyroid function. I also want to mention here secondary infertility. Some people are able to have one child, can't have a second child. A lot of times, again, because of the not having a good thyroid function and not being on the right, and if they do have thyroid medicine, not the right thyroid medicine. So TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. The thyroid is stimulated by the pituitary, okay? And you may want to go back over this again, but I want you to understand this is a very fragile system. This is a high-tech, gorgeous system. You don't just bring a baby into this world that simply. I mean, it is an amazing, I have the greatest respect for the temple that God gave us, created, and what we do to it's unbelievable. I can't believe we live as long as we do for the way we treat it. So, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. So ovaries can form a cyst, simple. Best thing to do with a cyst is definitely not operate. You don't want to operate if you don't have to. The other polycystic disease, the other problem with low progesterone is miscarriages. The other problem is people can be too fertile with thyroid problems. They can be infertile. Irregular periods, PMS, menopause, perimenopause. I think I explained all that. What causes estrogen dominance? Medications, especially birth control pill. Chemicals. We talked about, in one of my prior videos, I talked about dryer sheets have 12 different, some of them are several cancer-causing chemicals. Endocrine, remember those are called endocrine disruptors. If you can eliminate the chemicals in your house as much as possible. Processed foods and dairy products. Those are all things that cause estrogen dominance. And if you will research it, you can just look up estrogen dominance real quick. It'll explain to you. All right, so estrogen dominance then leaves you the second half of the cycle. Okay, so the spring is when you feel good, your cycle's over, all your hormones are starting over again. And then in the middle of the month is middle smirts. You sometimes might even get a little pain because that egg might come out. And that's when you feel the best because that's the summer and your hormones are up high. Well, then the fall comes and the estrogen starts going down and the progesterone should come up, but it doesn't. That can cause really bad headaches, can cause a lot of PMS, a lot of lousy, you can have a lousy week, just not feeling good, until the cycle begins. And when the cycle begins is we start the whole thing over again. That's the blizzard because everything's falling out. I thought Brother Dobson was pretty smart when he labeled it that way. One of the crucial things today, and I'm going to hold this up so you can see it, iodine is what you need. There we go. This is from Amazon. I'm not making any money, but you know what I'm thinking? I may send my videos to these companies and say, I just advertised you to 1,000 people. What are you going to do for me? I thought about that, but I don't work for any company. It's really crucial. Iodine is the mineral that your body uses to make thyroxine, and thyroxine is the hormone you need. Thyroxine, your thyroid gland, I'm going to read this, regulates many body processes including protein synthesis and metabolic activities and many facets of the immune system. A lot of people with thyroid problems get sick a lot. They get colds frequently because their immune system is affected by lack of thyroid. your thyroid does this by secreting hormones that depend on iodine. And here we go again. Most minerals, we're not getting minerals. Now, I want to explain to you that, and I can't give you all the thyroid symptoms. There's 150 of them. And each body type, we're all different body types. You know, there's pears, there's apples, there's, there's different shapes, and there's about 4 different shapes of women, and each woman manifests it differently. But it can actually mess up your digestion, your colon. Remember I said in the first tape, every ounce of blood goes through your thyroid every hour. Now my feet are always cold, always, 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 always cold. And so when your system is messed up with not enough thyroid, then you can be super cold or you can be super hot. Anxiety, panic attacks, fatigue, nervousness, weight gain, slow physical and mental reactions, cold hands, cold feet, headaches, dry skin, hair loss, anything to do with the menstrual cycle that's messed up, it's thyroid. It's automatically thyroid. So what's interesting about this is the Great Lakes area, all of you ladies that live up in Indiana, you've got Dr. Streeter up there. And by the way, Dr. Cal Streeter, I'm hoping he's going to come out of the hospital. He was seeing people at Northern Nutrition in Shipshawana 2 days a week. So, and then there's Julie and Dennis Streeter, and they both do hormone testing. There is the Great Lakes area, all the states of the Great Lakes, and especially Indiana and Michigan. Appalachian areas, northwest regions, as in Minnesota, your Dakotas, those are all goiter belt areas. And get this, I read this today, the soil has 100 times less iodine in those areas. So not only do we, and by the way, Great Lakes area, we're at the very high risk for breast cancer. That area is very high risk for low, because we're not producing iodine. By the way, there's two areas that store iodine in your body, thyroid and breast. And so if you want to protect it against breast cancer, you know, taking iodine is going to help a lot. And it has to be the 12.5 milligrams. You do not want to do the low MCGs. MCG is micro and MG is mega. So also iodine is a protectant against breast cancer. Iodine is a mineral that your body uses to make thyroxine. So you're wanting to supplement 3 things. And these goiter belt regions, by the way, especially, like I said, your Great Lakes area. I've done a lot of research about that just because I am a breast cancer survivor, 17 years, and I always like to know why. I am the great why person. And I just have studied and studied and studied. And so our lands and our vegetables, unless you're eating, there's not really a way to get enough iodine from all the vegetables. You just couldn't eat that much. And you don't want to do the white salt. You want to change to pink salt, which does have more iodine in it. So the solutions for what I want to say today this is progesterone cream. Now what's important about this is, I bought this off of Amazon. And I think I mentioned those ladies who are in perimenopause, menopause. By the way, menopause is around a 8 to 15 year happening. It doesn't just happen. Now some people go through it with just no problem at all. There's a rare. But it can start at 35 and it can go to 58. Kathy Rice, you don't know that name, but she was one of my mentors, heroes. She said it was like it was like a 10-year kick in the head. And she was a real trim, healthy, robust lady. But she suffered with headaches. And I'm sure she probably didn't know to supplement with iodine back then. But those of you that have fibroids, fibrocystic disease, ovarian cysts, all of that, those can be treated by the iodine and the progesterone. The progesterone, you want to take it on days 12 to 28. You don't take this when you're cycling, but you take it from days 12 to 28. Unbelievable what it'll do for your libido, depression, nervousness, sleep, insomnia. I cannot tell you how much it helps. I've been on it since I was 40, and I will not be going off of it. Why does the medical world, when you've got a problem with anxiety, they give you Xanax or Prozac, you're depressed? This would solve it. I think this was $19 online. Now, this is not prescription strength. but this is one of the best. This is one of the better, and I will put a picture again on my comments. This is one of the better qualities of, this is one of the higher milligrams. I also have an oral that I take, and and I like it. It's in vitamin E, and I put it under my tongue at night. But those of you that have some painful cysts in your chest, put the progesterone right on those spots. And the reason the cysts are forming, again, is because you're estrogen dominant. I guarantee you, if every woman knew about this prior to a hysterectomy, she could avoid having a hysterectomy, unless she has cancer. A lot of women, would if they've got cancer, that's a different thing. But this is also a protectant against cancer, both breast and uterine. The problem is, going back to the 4 weeks of the cycle, when you're estrogen dominant, that layer inside your uterus it doesn't slough off enough. You'll have a light period, or you'll have a lot of built up, and it just keeps bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, just depending on body types. Some women have real light periods, and they don't realize that they're building up a huge, thick lining in there, because without progesterone, you're not going to slough that lining off. And so, so then women who bleed a lot are because they've already got this big, thick lining built up in there. It's endothelial lining. And so when that is happening, you know what it does? It backs up and comes out of the uterus and causes endometriosis. I can guarantee you, if people would go on this, it would cure that. And so what happens is, some women have light periods and are building up a huge lining, and eventually, if you don't get that taken care of after 25 years of that, it could cause cancer. And other women, it's coming out the back of the uterus, going on the outside of the uterus, which is endometriosis. And so, depending again on who you are and your body type, you're going to have different things happen. I just heard of a person who had a placental tear, and they were hospitalized for it. And they were able to save the pregnancy, and it was late enough in the pregnancy, but I will guarantee you this also helps maintain pregnancies. Because when you do conceive, in the middle of the month, and you do end up getting pregnant, the placenta should be pouring out progesterone, but it isn't, because you're estrogen dominant. And people think, well, why would I be estrogen dominant? Well, even, there's even real small people. It's not just a person who's large busted. It's not just a certain body type. There's body types for every reason. But nowadays, I would say 90% of women are estrogen dominant. If you are overweight, you're going to have more estrogen, because sadly our fat cells hold estrogen. If you have had a bad diet, you're going to be very severely estrogen dominant. And so progesterone, this will not cause cancer. This prevents cancer. This is not a chemical. This is made out of natural ingredients, wild yam cream. When you take a hormone that's prescribed by a doctor, like a birth control pill and or a progestin or estrogen, if it's a chemical, it has ingredients in it which can cause side effects and cancer. And so that's what people are always afraid of. They think this is going to cause that. No, it's the exact opposite. I think I had a very tiny tumor. I think it was tiny because I had this. I think I have several friends who've had fibrocystic disease, and this progesterone's helped them immensely. Again, I'm not making any money on all this. I just want to tell you this. Now, this is a disclaimer, 2 disclaimers. You may have such a severe problem that you need prescription strength progesterone. You won't know that. I would try this is over the counter. I would try, and this is my last thing, raw thyroid. I didn't recommend that to everybody, but this is what I take, and it's from a company called Forefront Health. And I do not take any prescription medicine. I do take one thing for blood sugar. I don't take any prescription medications if I don't have to. And so, but I'm not against them. If you're on Synthroid, you want to try and get changed to either Nature-Throid or Armour Thyroid. Those are the 2 natural, but they are prescription. They have to come from a doctor. And you'd probably only get them from a DO. You need a DO, which is a doctor of osteopathy. And so those are the things to take. And for women who are not cycling, you need to take this. You can take this every day if you want, but you need to take it at least 2 weeks of the month. I take it 3 weeks of the month, and it helps me immensely. And some people take it every day, and you're not going to hurt yourself. But if you're cycling, you only take it days 12 to 28. And as soon as you start, if you start your cycle early, like say 26, stop the progesterone. And then if you're trying to get pregnant or you are pregnant, and you definitely need this the first 12 weeks. I can't tell you how many people lose babies that first 12, because the demand on the placenta is really strong. I talked to two different, I think I told this last time, one mother lost a twin, delivered the second baby, thankfully, and when they tried to take her placenta out, everything fell apart. In other words, your placenta should not be falling apart. It should come out nice and big and thick. Another mother who used the progesterone, like 400 milligrams, I mean high dose, the first 12 to 14 weeks, her cord was so thick, I mean thick and healthy, and you want a thick, healthy cord. You don't want a cord that's shredding, because the cord is what delivers the nutrients from the placenta to the baby. And what controls that is progesterone. Now, a couple of things, interesting things, solutions. Stop eating foods that have hormones. Mostly it's meat and dairy. Now, I want to show you something interesting. These are, and I'm not making any money on this. I got these at my Walmart. These are salted caramel cashew milk bars. Now, yes, they've got a little sugar. It's not perfect. But these don't make me have problems with hormones or sinuses, because there's no dairy. They're made out of cashew milk. And the company is called So Delicious. And these are mocha almond fudge. There we go, mocha almond fudge. And these are made by So Delicious. And that's almond milk. Just start practicing, girls. Go to Walmart. I got those at Walmart. Go to Aldi's and find all the different non-dairy type things. The smaller the ingredients, the better. You don't want a big list of chemicals. Look for your macadamia milk, your cashew milk. Aldi's sells some delicious goat cheese. Start experiencing goat cheese of different types. There is mozzarella, cheddar. There's all kinds of goat cheese. Yes, there's some that are a little strong. If you don't like strong cheeses, then you won't want the Gouda. But there are mild ones like mozzarella, Munster. I love the Munster cheese. And for those of you in Northwest Indiana, you are so blessed, because not only do you have Whole Foods where you can go get a little sample square, for a couple dollars. They have a sample box, and then go back to the deli. You can get a sample cheese. You don't have to buy the whole block, and you can taste test some of those. The other thing is, you've got Walmart that does sell health food items. Go to the health section and check out all the So Delicious ice creams and So Delicious ice cream bars. And then there's also Meijer's. I know the Meijer's in Maryville, because that was my Meijer for many years. And they have 7 or 8 kinds of goat cheese. Delicious. And those, if you can learn to replace your dairy. Now, I do use Amish butter. I love Amish butter, and I'm by the Amish people. But it's fresh. It's hormone-free. I was at KW Walker's birthday party the other day, and they had grain-fed beef burgers that were absolutely delicious. Grain-fed, okay? Excuse me, grass-fed. I said the wrong thing. Grass-fed burgers. Try yourself some buffalo. Buffalo is very lean, and it runs around outside on the grass, and it eats grass. Much better, milder for you than beef. You can get it. I can get it here at Sam's. Sam's is a better price. Costco in Maryville had it. Try your buffalo burgers. Try your buffalo in spaghetti. It's delicious. Again, your grass-fed meats they're hormone-free, and they also don't have the grains, which grains are causing a lot of problems with imbalances. So stay away from eating foods. By the way, Kentucky Fried Chicken, one of the worst things you can eat. The bigger, fatter, white meat of the chicken means it's loaded with hormones, not just growth hormones. Then there's estrogen. Then there's antibiotics. And so those you want to stay away from. Increase your fresh foods. Get off a pop. I mean, I sound crazy. I feel like I'm doing such simplistic. But you are what you eat. what you feed this temple, this beautiful, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, you present your body a living sacrifice. Tonight I had a huge, huge, big salad full of greens and red peppers and onions, and I crushed my pumpkin seeds and put those on top. Pumpkin seeds are real good for you. And then I had fresh acorn squash with goat cheese, and I had a small organic turkey sausage, lean turkey sausage. And you can't inject turkeys, by the way. They won't handle hormones; they'll die. So turkey's a good meat you can eat. Second thing, get on the iodine, 12.5 milligrams. Progesterone cream, get a hold of some thyroid if you need it. I would recommend, some people are going to be helped just by the iodine. But if you're having some severe cycle problems, or you want to make sure that you're working to have a baby, you need to have some kind of thyroid support going in there, especially after you've taken the pill. I had a lady once that wanted to have kids so bad, and she had been operated on, and they actually cut on both ovaries. And she was a girl in my class, and she came to me and said, Miss Fry, I want to have children so bad. So I took her to Dr. Streeter, good old Dr. Cal. And I didn't have a lot of hope for this lady because they had operated on both ovaries and cut out a cyst. And it's called a wedge. It's a wedge operation. And so I'm like, oh boy. But guess what? He was able, with progesterone and natural thyroid, either ARM or thyroid, he was able to get her system started again. And she has 5 children. And now they're that's been 30 years ago. And so I cannot tell you how many women, girls from the college, you got to realize, I know I was a dorm soup and worked in the Dean of Women's office for at least 4,000 girls. So I've talked to so many girls and counseled with so many girls and took so many people to Dr. Streeter because I watched him work magic with iodine, thyroid, and progesterone. And so now, if you've had an issue with the pill and you were on it, it's gonna take a while for your system to get going. So you gotta be patient and do some of these things, make some of these changes, and drink a lot of water, exercise, eat whole foods, and take your natural hormones. And if you need me, you can call me. If you want to send me a love offering, I'll PM me and I'll send you my address. I'll text you my address. I'm going out of town this weekend, but I'll have time next week to talk. I love talking to people about their health. I love helping people, and so if you need anything like that, I also wanted to say, if your system, if you've had a baby, your thyroid can be sluggish after that, and so you might have I think personally postpartum depression. You know what I think it's caused by? Of course, a radical shift in hormones. But no, the thyroid, okay, think about it. For 9 months, you don't have a cycle when you're pregnant. So your thyroid does not need to does not need to cause ovulation. You're not ovulating. So the thyroid goes on hold for 9 months as far as causing ovulation. Well, then all of a sudden, baby comes out, body starts changing. The thyroid's supposed to kick up again. Well, it doesn't. It's sluggish. Add to it the problem with estrogen dominance. And by the way, estrogen dominance and hypothyroidism, they go together like this. All these things are dominoes. And when one domino goes over, click, 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 they all go over. And so you can have postpartum depression and probably need to be on natural progesterone and some kind of thyroid support. And so it's very important that you give your body what it needs. And I'd like to lastly mention magnesium. Again, minerals, you might want to, if I'm trying to teach you how to fish. Get on the search engine and take a look at what minerals your body needs, okay? And then start looking for, and people ask me frequently where I order things from. Well, one of the things I do is my healthcare professional, I go by their companies. So I will post some companies that are good, but that's one of the things that's difficult to teach you what to do on that. But start learning what minerals that you need. But one thing is magnesium. Magnesium is amazing for the thyroid. It's an amazing mineral. It takes care of leg cramps, depression, anxiety, nervousness. There's a article called out The Miracle of Magnesium. It's fantastic for constipation. Fantastic for, and by the way, constipation is a symptom of people with thyroid. And so that can be a problem, and so can loose stools, and so can indigestion. And so those things all go together. You know, I said this before, and I've said it again. You know, the thyroid is an amazing gland, and it just about controls every system in our body. And if you have thyroid problems, and you can have depression. I don't feel, from talking to so many women in my 50 years of being a nurse, and I was 38 years at Hyles Anderson College. I don't feel we want to be depressed. Now, I'm not talking about grieving someone who's died, but I don't feel women want to be depressed. And therefore, I feel most depression is caused by a physical problem. I'm on the side of anybody who's if they're sad or they're having problems with, especially panic attacks, anxiety, and excessive anxiety. A small amount of anxiety is normal. But if, now if they're not reading their Bible and not walking with God, okay, they could get depressed. I realize that. And I've talked to I've counseled hundreds of abused girls. But walking with God, and if my hormones are fine, I'm not going to be depressed. So I choose to believe that most people who have depression have got something out of balance in their body. And actually, as a counselor, being a nurse was I'm blessed that I was a nurse, because one of the first things I did when someone would come to me for help is I would assess them physically right away. I just don't think most Christians want to walk around depressed. So I realize if they watch too much TV or if they're not walking with God, yes, you could be easily depressed, especially what's going on in our world right now. But boy, reading those Psalms, I mean, they are wonderful. But Psalms alone will not cure a hormone imbalance. Therefore, I always operate physically. I first look at what is going on physically with this person, and also then what medications are they on. A lot of medications can cause depression, a lot. When I lost, when we had a financial, we had to lay off quite a few people. I went to Hyles Anderson College in 1973. I only missed 1 year of college. I was a student for 2 years, and then I got hired in 75, and I love that place. I love the people there. And I still have a lot of friends up there, and a lot of teachers. I love Mrs. Flesher. There's quite a few people that I stay in contact with. And but anyway, I was laid off, and I happened to lose my job and break my foot the same day. And the pain was unbelievable. And they put me on Vicodin, which I had never taken. And so I found myself very depressed, but I needed the Vicodin. And I've never taken it again. But I will say this, medications can cause depression. Actually, antidepressants can cause depression. And so therefore, if you have depression / anxiety / panic attacks, first thing I'm going to question is thyroid. And remember I said there's a cold brain syndrome that occurs. The brain is actually cold because it's not getting the blood flow from the body because the thyroid is sluggish. And so I believe with all my heart that many women are walking around with depression that could very much be helped by these 3 things, all over the counter, supplements and iodine. When you take something, it's better to take liquid, cream, topical, or oils. I love the essential oils, and or capsules. Stay away from the hard pills. Our bodies don't like that too much. Remember Dr. Cal used to say if you take a lot of those hard vitamins, he said you've got a real healthy toilet. Because they all just go in there because we don't digest them. So take a capsule, liquid. And by the way, I haven't even touched on oils, but there's a lot of great oils out there. I have an oil that is it's that I use at night. And some of us personalities that are real excitable have to be calmed down. But you know what? This progesterone, I'll tell you what, I got through the change of life with that, and it really helped me. I call menopause, remember, Coke is the pause that refreshes. Well, menopause is the pause that doesn't refresh. And you got to be able to laugh. I remember I think I sent this to one of my friends one time. It said, the woman standing on a mountain, it says, "My wish for mankind," and on the inside it said PMS. And jokingly, I used to tell Mrs. Evans, if men could just one day understand our bodies, to remember and respect the beautiful temple, and you are never the same 2 days in a row. Okay, I'm closing it out, and if you need me, call me, and I sure appreciate those of you that have given me a small love offering for my time, and I will be announcing what I'll be teaching on next week. I don't know yet. I want to see how this goes. If I get more questions and comments, and I forgot to leave something out, I want to know. Thank you so much for blessing me with your attention. Your time is precious. Your time is money, and I really appreciate it. God bless you, and I want you to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. Bye-bye.